सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति 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 हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरा गुरुसाक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः ओम भूर्भुवस्सुवः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्. Okay, so we will go to our Bhagavad Gita. We have done 6. We were on Karma Yoga, if you remember. We did 6 verses, and we'll do 7 and 8. So basically, we are learning, what are the fine points of Karma Yoga. And last time, the last verse was that if you sit in meditation and you're still thinking of the sense objects, then you're deluded and you're a hypocrite. So he's telling you to go back and do more Karma Yoga. Then your meditation will be more successful. Everybody remembers that, right?
Yep.
Okay. So the 7th one is Yasvindriyani manasa niyamyarabhate arjuna karmendriyaihi karma yogaha asakta savishishyate. So the English translation is, but whosoever controlling the sense by the mind, O Arjuna, engages his organ of actions in karma yoga without attachment, he excels. So basically here in the commentary, Swamiji is explaining what Krishna Bhagavan is saying, and Swamiji actually says that these two innocent looking lines, these two lines, have the entire science of right action and a complete technique. So in these two lines, what is he saying is, first he's saying is, whoever controlling the senses by the mind, O Arjuna, engages. So before you do the action, he's telling you to do it correctly by sense control. And here what Swamiji was saying, that mind is the most important thing, because even if senses are perceiving, if your mind is not available, you're not going to get it. And we all know when we get totally absorbed in something, somebody comes and we just don't comprehend that the person is there, because, so that's what he's saying. So basically he's saying that, so first you are doing the sense control and you get more energy, but then if you don't apply that energy correctly, then there's a huge problem too. So it's a two-way thing. So harnessing that energy so it doesn't go all wasted, that's one part. And then here he's comparing that if you don't have the second part correctly, so it's like putting a dam on the river, and now you don't know what to do with that water, and it will flood everything if you don't channel it correctly. So there are a lot of people who, even in meditation, I've heard, like it happened to my sister-in-law in the beginning, she didn't have like a guru or direction and how to do it. And she somewhere she heard, okay, meditation is good. So she was sitting in meditation by herself, and she started getting more neurotic, because all of a sudden you have all this energy and you don't know what your goal is. It's very dangerous. So then she started doing Vipassana, and then she had the direction. So now it's totally, everything is fine, and she's progressing a lot. So that is a very big danger, that you need to have, maybe some Shastra or somebody to guide you in the beginning, Then, so here he's saying, the second part of it is, in his own commentary, he says, unless the gathered energy is immediately given a more profitable field of activity, it is sure to break the bonds and flood the inner world, and perhaps sweep away the entire personality equilibrium. There's a very big danger that if you don't have the right goal, you'll have a nervous breakdown, literally. So then what we should do, that's in the second line over here. So he says, you do the work with detachment. Remember, we had discussed so much about detachment.
And
Yes. So he's saying that the karma yogins, want to act with perfect detachment. And then he gives an example of what happens in detachment, that when you work in detachment, so you have all these vasanas, means you have certain tendencies, and then our job is to get rid of that tendency, right? So when you work in detachment, two things happen, according to this. One is that you don't get any new vasanas. You don't get any new impressions. That's very important.
Desires.
You mean desire?
Yeah, impression,
that's
desire,
the main thing.
vasanas,
Yeah, vasana
all
is
are there.
desire.
All are like words that you can interchange. So you don't get any new one, and then whatever you do have, it start getting depleted. It's like a polish. वो varnish हो रही है, वो हमारा mind clean हो रहा है. So it is so important that it.
Yeah, so there is a difference between the goal and the desire.
Meaning, explain.
Meaning, just a moment ago you mentioned that we really have to have a goal. So let me ask you, Jogendra, you were mentioning, you have always mentioned that things will happen on their own. So why do we want to really, I'm just questioning.
That's
just
fine.
So why do we want to have do we want to have a set goal? Because setting a goal will lead to failure, to disappointment.
Not that kind of goal, because when we say, but the
you
word.
need to have a goal in spiritual path.
Exactly.
Not
It's a
for the
spiritual goal,
worldly
not the worldly
pleasures.
goal.
No, but even spiritually
Yeah.
now, when we have a goal, we are putting a goal post, and a goal post is a limited thing, and so I don't know. I mean, what should be the goal? Can someone tell me what
Maybe
would be?
we can open it for
what would
discussion
be the-
and
what
everybody
should be
can
the-
say.
what is
I'll tell you what I
See,
think.
one
but-
thing,
What is your goal?
everybody is a different path. So, I can just tell about me, I cannot tell about others because. So, I was never spiritual or religious and all that. So, when this trigger happened, whatever you can call it, I started going through the same thing. I could feel things are coming my way, and I had a way of knowing, whether they are my path or not.
So basically, the things are coming to you more like a help in what your goal is. Maybe it could be self-realization. It could be a smaller goal. You have to clean up my mind. All
So
those are noble
what
goals.
would be the goal that you started out with? I'm just
Okay,
saying, innocent
for me
question.
it was when I was a child. I was always very confused about. I used to look at the sky and think, "Hey, where does it end, and what is beyond that?" Always that question was there, but it was very confusing question. I could not put it to anybody, and then I was always fearful of things. That's how you grow up when you don't have a understanding of what God is, and all you're always like, oh my God, somebody's going to die. Abhi ye hoga. It's like. And I knew that is not a normal way to live, like fearful of everything and all that. And then I didn't know anything about Vedanta because our family was totally ritualistic, and only my one uncle used to study all these Bhagavatam and Ramayana and all, but he never discussed it with the family. But then when I came to Houston, somehow I ended up in Chinmaya Mission because of the kids. My husband wanted the kids to learn something, and they have a rule that if the kids go, the parents have to come.
Is it because it actually happened?
What?
No, it's just you getting connected to Chinmaya Mission.
I think it was
It
because I
happened?
had that quest in my heart. It was the God always says that whatever quest you have, I will fulfill it.
But
So
you pursued it.
unknowingly
You
I had.
pursued it.
Yeah, means, but
You
it,
have to take some action.
but it just happened. But once,
It
a lot of
happened,
people
right?
go to Chinmaya Mission and after 2-3 weeks they may not want to go because you have to connect also.
So,
A lot of people. So then I started connecting and saying, hey, this has something. And then the more I read, the more I felt, oh my God, this is so wonderful, so wonderful. And finally, my answer that I had in my childhood got answered.
So I would not want to know the answer. What I would want to know, what would be the goal?
The
And
goal
reason
for me is, the spiritual realization. I mean, once you know that, hey, this is what is going to end all your sufferings and everything, why wouldn't you want to have that goal?
so in my case, the way, in fact, I'm writing this now, so I can So I'm looking back at 22 years and saying, you know, so there are three forms the help came. One was the gods themselves. God doesn't mean just Brahm, but all the
Manifestations
all
of
the
God, yeah.
assistants of gods,
Right.
you know. So they came. Second was events happened, like you know, you went to Chinmaya Mission. That's an event. And third, people came who directed me somehow without knowing.
Right.
Like
right.
they didn't know they were
I
doing this
see
to
it
me.
so clearly what you're saying, 100%.
Yeah. So like I found my guru. She didn't know I am her disciple, but what she gave me, I could tell that she was my guru. And the other thing is you got messages through dreams, messaging through worldly events, like you turn TV channel on and it comes in. Like messages through friends, like he will ask me a question and I don't know the answer. This guy in Chicago, he sends me email every day and he answers that in his email. So all those
Yes.
are connected.
100%.
I mean,
We
it's
just
like
don't know, but they
you
are
can call it
connected.
synchronization
Yes.
or
We
whatever.
are all connected.
Yes,
Yeah.
The
100%.
messages are going, I don't know where they are going,
Yeah.
but somebody
Yeah.
is getting them.
So now what happens is after a while, you don't have a goal, but you are, I mean, in my case, I'm talking about. So I'm just going with the flow. I mean, if things are coming my way, but only thing was I was always cross checking. Like, because I'm my scientist nature or whatever you want to call it, like hundreds of things come your way. But then which one is for you? The only way I could tell was when an independent source did the same thing at the same time. Like one classic example was this French guy I know, he brought me a book. It called Tales of Power by Carlos Castaneda, Teachings of Don Juan. Now I get so many books, so I got one of them, I put it aside. Then Sikri Saab came from India and he brought Japji Saab Osho tapes, 27 CDs. And he said, I have to listen to them because I'm going back and I need them back. So I'm listening in a hurry. So I'm on that CD that day. He's talking about in Hindi. He said, "Kal maine Carlos Castaneda ki Tales of Power padhi." So to me, you know, that told me this is for me.
Yes. So, I mean, I
See,
can also have so many
because
incidents like that.
this is the
I know.
thing,
I
like-
relate to it now.
Like in the morning, in the early days when I was in high school, I went to Bombay, stayed with my uncle. He was in movie business, and the person below his building, the next floor down, was Ramanand Sagar. So I used to go to their house, play with their kids, all that. So then on the TV, I was flipping channels here, and Sony, and it comes, Ramanand Sagar shows up. And he says, you know, today we are starting a very important program in Krishna of Gita. And that, I really took it to heart, and I was listening to it every time I'll walk. It's like almost Krishna was talking to me, you know.
Became so real for you.
Yeah, so real, because, you know, and that was the most learning I had in that. So that was kind of connection. So this...
Jogendra, but is it probably not true that events like this that you just described, they happen to all of us?
All
Not-
of
not-
us.
Not some of us. All of
But
us,
you may not
we are not
relate.
aware.
Aware of
No,
it,
we are not.
exactly.
We
But
are
you may
most
not
like-
relate.
we
You
are
will
not-
not relate.
Yeah, well, relate meaning that we are not aware that even they are happening sometimes. When you are aware that yes, there seems to be a connection, then I think that awareness kind of brings you closer to the path that...
No, I think there's something triggers in you which tells you that this is it.
I think once you're on the path, your awareness get higher and higher, and then you recognize those things.
So if you're aware, it will get triggered. If you're not aware, it's dormant.
You might
No,
miss
but-
the opportunity
Yes,
sometimes.
exactly.
Yes,
But it
you
is
might
not,
miss it.
it
Yeah.
is not just me, but like I used to watch this Elizabeth Clare Prophet, you know, used to come every Tuesday. And we were just sitting there, and this Babaji came, you know, this SRF group. And I don't know if you have seen his picture or not, but
Which
he
is
has
SRF?
Self-Realization Fellowship.
Oh yes, of course. वो
And
उनके जो बाबा जी वो
Baba ji
yeah,
jo.
I know from
So
Himalaya.
he has a very different face
Very
with
long
blue
face.
eyes and all that, yeah. And Nina couldn't look at his eyes. And I was so, from the picture that she showed, you know, I could feel the energy coming, you know.
Yeah, a lot of people connect
Yeah.
with him so much.
Yeah.
I've heard about that
So,
over
so the
years.
point is that, and then you get, but it only happens when your time is right. That's how I'm sorry to say. You
Yeah.
could be
But
16-year-old.
why does it come then before?
Huh?
Why does it come? to
Because we are not
everybody?
ready. That's what he's saying. When
So we are getting a chance.
Yes.
So we are
Yeah.
throwing it.
it will happen.
I think
It will
I'm trying to
happen.
decipher what this shloka is saying.
See, this
to
shloka,
me.
remember one thing. When Krishna Bhagavan is talking, he's talking to all levels of people. Okay? So when somebody reads Gita, the depth is so huge, but we gotta pick from it where we belong. So there could be like a teenager. You cannot tell him not to have a goal. That will be a disaster for
No,
him.
no, but that thing she said is very true.
Yeah, so
because
you need to tell him, hey, you need to
when
have a
I
goal.
went in that mode, I had so much energy. And because I was eating meat, I wasn't like these sadhus, they eat nothing, they don't eat onions or no onion, no garlic, no salt, because they want to keep their energy down. Because,
They don't want too much rajasic, they want
Yeah.
more sattvic, so that's all.
Yeah.
It's
So-
more meditative, yeah.
so
Not
I
jumping.
wasn't doing any of that. So it's very different. And but this energy is so much. But there are some things come your way. You can heal people. You can feel vibrations from them, and all kinds of stuff happen. In fact, if you read the chart, you see that Meher Baba has made.
That was a great one. That I
7
saw
levels
that.
he
Yes.
talks about.
And it is
He said level 6. You have all the powers, and it's most dangerous time because you
yes.
can, and that's why all these other Babas you see
A lot of
caught.
Baba get caught up in it and they never go beyond that. I know.
Yeah.
And even a lot of Swamis have told about
Yeah.
that. And I've heard about Chinmayananji.
Yeah.
He was capable of doing a lot of miracles.
Yeah.
People saw miracles happening, but he never, ever, ever discussed about it.
Yeah.
He never gave importance to it. Somebody even said it, he brushed it off.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want his disciple to ever get caught into this. कि भाई ये हो जाएगा वो हो जाएगा, I can change this. They used to say the rain used to stop and go compared to when he was going to do all kinds of things. Flowers started blooming at the wrong time when he came. All those things happened. Other people noticed it. He never ever wanted. And somebody said it, brushed it aside for the same reason because it's very dangerous.
So that is very much truth in it. About the goal setting, like he asked, I don't know, because Carlos Castaneda and Don Juan said he talked a lot about this path, and he says every path you can have millions of paths, but there's one path for you, and your heart will tell you that. But all the paths lead to nowhere, so don't worry. Just follow your heart.
No,
and
in the
follow.
end it's true, but that's where it is that I think when Krishna Bhagavan is speaking, we gotta see where we are, and he's talking to, right now he's talking about Karma Yoga.
Yeah.
And the context he's talking Karma Yoga, we have to receive the context, how he's
Right.
saying. And the reason it relates to us because we represent Arjun. We represent people
Yeah.
who have, everything
Yeah.
right, training and all that, and then all of a sudden we can't do our duties because something, we got this dilemma and all that. So that's the kind of person he's talking to. And that's why he said that, if you have this energy, you got to channel it in the right direction. And a spiritual goal is always a very good goal in my mind. The worldly goal, you can get disappointed, like you're saying. But he gives a technique for the worldly goal too. And Chinmayananji put it in the words like, plan your work and work your plan. So once you have the goal, then you start walking with the full, what you call energy. And that time you don't think about the goal all the time. And then you enjoy the path and he tells Arjun, because I was reading chapter 2, even if you die in the battle, it's better for you because you will enjoy the heavens, because he comes down to the worldly level then. He talked about all the spiritual thing, nothing was going in Arjun's head. So he said, if you die, that's better. If you run away, people are going to talk bad about you. And then that sari kirti tumhari khatam ho jayegi. And if you win, you will be enjoying the world. He even tells him that far.
See, he says yogast hokar karm kar.
Yeah, but what I'm saying
Means in the yoga mode, do the karma, which basically says that shut off your logical and emotional brain, and the universal brain will make you do the work, and then you wouldn't be worried about the results because you're just doing the work. And that's what it is. But when you do that, the work gets done better.
But
because
here he
you're
will
not
tell you the
wasting our
technique.
energy.
He will tell you the technique. And reason he's saying, when people say be in the present, because if you're not in the present, the work will never turn out good. And
Right.
even for a doctor, if he's doing a surgery, if he's thinking, oh my God, is this patient going to live or die, he won't be able to perform. It's like, I got to do best right now. See what I'm saying? That's where he's coming from. You have a goal. Yes, I want to save this guy's life. I want to do, but while you're doing the work, you cannot be thinking of the result. You cannot be thinking of the past mistake. You got to see right now, what is my capacity, how I can do the best. That's it. And then whatever happens, you leave it to God. Finished.
So 2 examples. One is Nina's cousin. He was the head of the department in ophthalmology in Madison, Wisconsin. And he used to do these cataract surgeries, go to India, do 10,000 of them and all that. So, not cataract, but there's some other one. Giving eyesight and changing lenses, something.
Glaucoma.
So he told me that 2 patients come, one gets okay, one doesn't work out. I mean, that's the way. But he says, when I do the operation, I always think if my mother was there, how will I do it?
The
And
best.
so then whatever the result comes,
Yeah.
comes.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
You do your best.
yeah.
That's all. That's in our hand, and there is a very powerful shloka about that. That your job is to do your best. You cannot. Result is not in your hand.
So now when in 99, this is like after 3 years, I had all these energies and I was starting to heal people.
Yeah, you
So,
were saying.
so
that.
I'll send this energy and then I was questioning, like people will ask me when, and I'll say what will happen, all this stuff. Then the answer came in this form. It said, you just do your job. You are not
See,
to,
I mean, these are
you're not to worry about the result.
Isn't that amazing?
And I will actually go on an airport, I see this one guy in bandage and I get this message, you have to send energy to him.
Amazing.
So that's the way it used to work.
Have you guys heard of a book called Conversation with God?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard that.
There are
I
3,
have it.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
And the first question that he asked God was,
Yeah.
hey, how do I communicate with you?
Yeah.
Right? And the
Yeah.
answer he got was, what are you talking about? I'm communicating with you 24/7.
time.
You're just not listening. It's like, and he said that it could, just like exactly what Joy is saying, it could be a conversation from a friend, it could be a flutter of a tree, it could be this. I'm there all the time, I'm talking to you.
And
You are
after
the
a
one
while,
not listening.
you will be telling yourself. Then you wouldn't be worried
It
about.
comes from inside.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
after, but you need to develop to that level.
Yes, that awareness. you have to
That
have.
awareness comes, then nobody can shake you.
And the confidence also that the God is there all the time.
But then you have to learn to separate your mind from this voice.
Right.
There's a very big difference.
Your own garbage in there you cannot put.
In fact, that reminded me of the Gandhi thing I sent you. Did you hear that by any chance?
No.
Gandhi talked about God.
Oh,
There's a little,
yeah.
very beautiful, he says that I went to a village in south and the villagers I talked to, I asked them who's your God, or king. They didn't know. He says, same way we don't know, but we know that there is this force which is driving us all, Very nice, he spoke. I'll send you guys. It's very
And for
small.
Gandhiji, I heard a very nice thing recently from one of your Vedantic gurus. I was listening this morning actually, and he said that somebody said Gandhiji thought he's a politician, somebody says a social reformer, or all these titles they were giving him, Pitaji of Apna Desh and all that. So he said, okay, he did all those things. If you ask Gandhiji what are you doing, he's saying, I'm in search of God. That's my job. All these are side effects of it. He's doing all this karma yoga, and so many people are benefiting, but his goal was, uniting with God. So I thought that was a very profound thing. That, in his heart, he was nothing, but his goal was that. So I think that's what maybe we have to pick from here, So I don't know how this electronic camera works. I don't know the word, but the old one that we used to have. So he said when you take a picture, so if the picture is falling on that, inside that camera, but if that film is not treated with chemical, it will not stick. Nothing will happen to it. It will just come. But if there is that chemical, then the picture get impression, right? So he was comparing that chemical to our attachment. you know. So he said that it's like we see all these things, so we should not have the attachment, or it will stick to us. If you work in detachment, then nothing is going to stick to us. I thought that was a great example. And we all can understand because we know about that camera. This new generation will only know the electronic camera. So that's the example he gave. And then the last line I just want to read in Chinmayanandaji's words, and he was talking about that what happens when you work in non-attachment. I already said that you won't create new desires or vasana and you will remove. So he said, because of our inner attitude of non-attachment during the activity, no new rubbish is gathered by our mind, but on the contrary, it gets itself burnished, means polished by the removal of existing mental dirt.
It is like we were talking about that you have, when you die, your body goes in Sukha Sharir, which has Manomaya Kosha, which has your desires and your karma stack. In other words, every karma you do, you have a consequence. Mm-hmm. So when you go in this mode of work, which is why you are working? Because you are exhausting your karma. If you didn't have any karma and no desire, you wouldn't be here. You would be merged already with God. Exactly. So when you are doing anything, you are exhausting these karma. Now, if you do in a karma mode, which is the one he's talking about, without any desire, then there is no consequence of that. Mm-hmm. So then you're exhausting that stack. So you remove your desires and you make your stack zero, mm-hmm. and then you will die. Mm-hmm. And then you won't carry the Sukshma Sharir there because there's no need for anything else.
Yeah. It's like when the post office, when the house is not there, where is it going to deliver the, post is gone. So I think everybody got the gist of this, right? Yeah. So this, according to Chinmayanandaji, this is a very powerful verse over there. And the next verse is telling that what kind of duties we need to perform every day for us, people like us. So here's the verse. Niyatam kuru karma. No, sorry. I'll just read it because sometimes I can't get the tune. Niyatam kuru karma tvam karma jayo yakarmanaha sharira yatra pichate na prasiddha ye the karmanaha. You perform your bounden duty. I don't know how to say this word. B-O-U-N-D-E-N. Anybody knows how to pronounce that? Bounden, right? You perform your bounden duty, for action is superior to inaction. Even the maintenance of the body would not be possible for you by inaction. So here he's talking about the danger of inaction. So because some people can totally take it wrong, right? Hey, I should not have any desire, I should not have any goal, so let me just sit on my bed and do nothing. He's telling you, no. Get off your butt and do the work. But then what to do, that's what he's saying. So your bounden duty or bounden duty, that's what we need to do. And then here he explains. So he's saying that, and another thing he talked about is that when Arjun was taught about this karma yoga, in those days, the karma yoga used to be just a ritualistic form of the Vedas. Hey, do this yaga, do this yagna, you will get this, you will get that. So that's what. And he is expanding that definition of karma yoga in this. Because one of the reasons, when I read the introduction by Chinmayanandaji again of Gita, he said that, all those Vedic things, they were misunderstanding it very much. So Krishna Bhagavan had to come and redefine it, everything for him.
So he says every kind of yag is like dan yag. He talked about
he talked about what the actual yagna is.
All those are yag.
According to Krishna Bhagavan, this is also a yagna we are doing. This is the Jnana yagna we are doing.
Right.
Because we are coming here, gathering, we are doing certain sacrifices to come here, and that's what we are doing. So this is how it is. So he's talking about that, and then he says that he classified this karma ritualistic in 4 different categories, and see where we fit in. One is daily duties called nitya karma. So that's our duty. So we all know, we don't, nobody needs to tell us we know what to do. We have to do our kitchen, and you have to do whatever. The men have to do their,
Cooking.
or whatever.
Whatever your
Gardening.
duties are.
Bolo, bolo,
Shopping,
bolo,
grocery.
But that's actually what they are calling it. You are bound by.
Yeah. Means we know in
You are-
household
you are-
our duties are divided, and and we know what we need to do, and we must do that. And then the second duty are nemitic karma. Nemitic karma is duties that are to be undertaken on special occasions. Okay, your nephew is getting married. Hey, I don't feel like going. You must go, because that's your nemitic karma. You live in a society and you're obligatory. That doesn't mean you have to go to every party that somebody get invited. That then we need to have that discrimination. That what is very important, I must do it. What I can just, it's okay not to do it. So those are. But some people I have seen, oh, I don't feel like doing this, and they don't even do what is essential. So that's where it comes down to. And
The third and the fourth. You got four of them, right? Haji, third concept.
third, they call it kamya karma, and that is what you were going to special ritual propitiating the necessary cosmic power, the deity, for the invocation of which some specific desire may be fulfilled.
Okay.
And the fourth, it comes in nishiddha karma, immoral and undivine act not to do, and we already know. Nobody needs to tell us, don't steal, don't do. There are certain no's, and I think every religion has that. It's across the board, So basically, that's what the classification is. But to Arjuna is saying perform his daily obligatory rituals, and the reason being action is superior to inaction. And then he says the danger of inaction is for and then this Bowden duty or niyatam karma, that's what the word is. But that includes your home, office, society, and as a national being. So even for the nation, like we need to go and vote, and we need to do all those things, and don't throw trash on the street. So many things can come in that, but we need to worry about all the four things, and we need to perform this diligently, our duty at home and world outside. And what happens if somebody inactivity brings about destruction of the nation? So he doesn't want that. And the society and the home, and often the individual himself. We have seen, all these bums who sit on the, in Pacific Beach, there is a crisis now. Because here in San Diego, the weather is so good. So I've heard that homeless people actually travel from other states to come here. Did you know that?
Yeah.
And they just have, maybe you guys know, because this was a
Well,
news.
we came too because we thought the weather is so good.
No, but
I was in Dayton, Ohio, 50 degrees
but
below
homeless
zero.
people, for them it's a heaven.
They are begging.
Because other places they will be so cold or hot. Here it's,
It's easier to beg.
Yeah, but then then our neighborhood, there is an outbreak of hepatitis A, I heard,
Yeah, I
because
know.
there are homeless people.
Yeah, they're washing the streets now.
Yeah, it's because they just make so much mess. There's a destruction happens. So
That's called a karma. Lack of action.
yeah, and often the very individual himself become victimized by his own idealness and comes to suffer physical disabilities, debility, and intellectual deterioration. So basically he's saying that you must do your duty, and then as we go further in the karma yoga, he's going to refine it. And then at one point he's going to tell us that your duty, do it like a puja. So if you do it with the awareness of God, all your duties, and then that could be the goal, that I'm doing the duty for him because I'm his representative, And then they say that whether you do other rituals or not, you are doing puja 24/7. And that the example is that Shabri was sweeping the thing, it was a puja for her because she was doing it for Ram. That's the perfect example, that the most mundane job that we actually hate to do, but if you do it for the God, it becomes puja. So he's giving you such a fantastic way to conduct that no job will become then boring. Because if you're thinking of God and doing, then everything looks fantastic. That's what he's going to tell us in the future. Okay, so that's our Gita.